more sommeliers, more chefs, more winemakers. When you support the Wine and Food Foundation of Texas, you're helping create a more vibrant wine and food culture in Central Texas. Since our founding, we have invested more than $1.5 million to make a lasting impact in our Austin community, and we continue to do so with your support. We host study groups, provide classes for professionals and consumers, and fund vineyard research. We send sommeliers, chefs, and winemakers around the world for conferences and training. From California to Australia to France, they learn about process, craft, new trends, and then they bring that knowledge back to Texas. We are making Austin's wine and food scene exciting, diverse, and most of all, world-class. The Wine and Food Foundation of Texas. Toast, feast, give back.
Good evening. My name is Denise Silverman, and I am honored to serve as the newly appointed Executive Director of the Wine and Food Foundation. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome you to Nourish the Soul, a hospitality industry benefit. Like so many things this year, tonight we're doing something new and different. You may have noticed we have a new look, a new website, and after 34 years of in-person events, we are coming at you live in your living room or dining room. Wherever you are, I hope you have a glass of wine in hand to join me for a little toast. After all, not everything needs to be virtual, right? I'd like to acknowledge our long-standing members and supporters who have attended dozens of foundation events over the years. Thank you all for your incredible generosity and heartfelt support. I'm thrilled you're with us tonight. We also have some newbie members who joined more recently for the fun and rewarding opportunities we offer to explore the world of wine and food, engage in educational opportunities like our virtual tastings, and become part of a like-minded community. We're so glad you've joined our community, and thank you for being here this evening. Thank you to all of our members. We could not do this without you. One benefit of a virtual event is that we are able to open this up to anyone who wanted to join us tonight to support the hospitality industry. I want to acknowledge our non-members here checking us out for the first time. Welcome. We hope you enjoy the program and that you will consider becoming a Wine and Food Foundation member. We'll talk a bit about our membership later this evening. Now, a toast. Here's to celebrating, and most importantly, to supporting those who need our support most. We are so glad you're here with us tonight. Cheers to all of you. As many of you know, this event was conceived because we knew we had an opportunity to help our own, the hospitality community, an industry that has always supported the foundation. Tonight, it's our turn to nourish those who have always nourished us. The proceeds of this event will go to Southern Smoke, a national crisis relief nonprofit organization for people in the food and beverage industry. Tonight, we'll be treated to a conversation between one of our board members, Kristen Moxie Castro, and Southern Smoke's founder, Chris Shepard, so we can all learn about Southern Smoke and its amazing mission. Before we get to that, we are going to do what we do best, some serious eating and drinking. We have a chef demo from Emmer & Rye's chef owner, Kevin Fink, followed by a wine tasting with our good friend, Joelle Cousins, certified sommelier and chain account manager at RNDC. A few quick but important acknowledgments, and then we'll be on our way. First, thank you to our sponsors. A special thank you to our presenting sponsor, H-E-B, who has been enormously patient with us as we figured out what we were doing this year. Thank you also to Cap Trust, the Label Collective, and Elios Production Design, and to all our generous wine and beverage donors. I'd like to thank the Foundation's Board of Directors for their support. And I'd like to extend a personal thank you to our Board President, Pat Conroy, and our President-elect, Jerry Valdez, for their strong leadership and support. Thank you to this amazing team of behind-the-scenes professionals who know their way around technology so that we don't have to. Finally, a huge shout out to my team, Hillary Weldy and Megan Engel. We would not be here tonight without this rock star team. Thank you both. With that, let's get this party started. Tonight is full of really fun content. There's no official paddles up, no auction, but there are 2 buttons on the right side of your screen where you can donate. They should be somewhere around here. The green button has a suggested donation amount, but there is also a black button that says Pledge Other, which you can use to donate in any amount. Assuming you feel inspired by our mission and tonight's content, you can make a donation at any time during this program by clicking one of those buttons. You'll see the donation tally at the top of your screen, and you'll notice that there is already $9,500 in there. That's because our VIP tickets came with a built-in donation. So we're starting strong, but we are just getting started, and we're really looking forward to seeing that tally grow throughout the program. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to Chef Kevin Fink of Emmer & Roy. Enjoy.
Excited to cook with you today. We're going to do some fun things, some things that you would do at home, a couple of things that you're probably not as comfortable with. Flour, eggs, really the cornerstone of any northern Italian pasta dish. Really beautiful arugula rocket, quite spicy here. It's one of my favorite right now in this season. It's just incredible. I love these ones because of how beautiful they are. You can get some of the thicker ones as well. These like thin ones here. So peppery, so spicy. When they get bigger, they're even a little bit more bitter. They're really punchy. You want arugula that wakes you up like you haven't had breakfast. It's the first thing that you put in your mouth. It just kind of lights your eyes up that. Purslane, one of my favorite edible weeds. We joke around a lot in the restaurant that you cannot eat enough weeds. Typically they're really great from you. They grow all over. You do a big help to the environment in many ways. Super high in vitamin D, really great for you. Has this beautiful sour effect to things as well. A couple mushrooms from Hi-Fi Mycology. You can definitely buy from them at the farmer's market here in Austin. These are chestnut mushrooms and then oyster mushrooms. Both of these are incredible. We'll cook them up later. I'll tell you specific flavor profiles that I find them. These, preserved loquats. Loquats, obviously, I mean, you can just smell them. They smell incredible right here. Part of the rose / kind of peach family of things. They grow everywhere. You see them on the trees all over. Walk anywhere on the east side, the south side. They're kind of volunteer planted throughout most of what you find. The thing about loquats is the season is quite short. So they are either green and unripe. There's 2 or 3 weeks where they're ripe, and then you get a time period where you can harvest them. And so what we've done is we've actually packed these and made almost like the Japanese style of umeboshi, but with loquats. And so you have this beautiful kind of like preserved loquat that has the seeds still in it, so you'll have to take those out. Smells incredible. It has this kind of like vanilla aroma to it. It has this kind of like salty, briny characteristic to it. If you do not have loquat boshi, what are you gonna do? You could do it very easily with a form of capers and make it a little bit brighter and more refreshing into that sort of thing. Or you could just focus on the mushrooms and make the sauce of the stems and everything that we're gonna kind of pick off of here. Without further ado, we're going to make for you caramelle filled with robiola and ricotta cheese with a preserved loquat boshi sauce, with preserved loquat boshi that we'll finish it with, caramelized mushrooms with purslane and rocket. Okay, pasta at home. So obviously ratio is an important thing, and I think understanding what type you want to use and where you're going for. So a little bit of white Sonora, and then AP organic flour from Central Milling. I do love King Arthur as well, and then eggs that you like. So old Italian kind of like ratios is 100 grams of flour to 1 egg. Here in the States, our eggs typically are not quite as nice as in Italy, so what I'll do here is Beautiful color there, but I'll do actually 1 egg and 2 yolks for that. If I don't want to make a mess, I can do it in a little bowl here, and then once I get everything together, I'll go the other way, right into the center. Take a fork, mix, 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 mix. And watch it start to come together here. And then once I'm going to get it to a place where I start to feel pretty nice about it, scrape that down. Here we go. I have this just to help me kind of like keep it all together, right? So I'm going to work it. What you should end up with here is a space where you have no flour left. Notice I'm using my wrist here to kind of work in flour. I'm constantly folding it over, shape it. It will not respond right away because it's been worked so hard. So just like bread that needs to rest, pasta dough also needs to. And I need this to sit for 30 minutes, and then I will go back to it. So 30 minutes later, we'll have our dough, roll it out, be ready to go. A little bit of TV magic here. So we've gotten our dough, rolled it out, cut it. We have these beautiful squares, which really is a lot of possibility. It looks like it could be, you know, something quite simple, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you caramelle from that. I'm gonna show you a couple fun things too, because realistically, when you're at home, you might as well have some fun doing stuff. So, robiola and ricotta. It is half and half, so it's actually 70% robiola because we really like that flavor. You can get robiola due latte, tre latte, so 2 or 3 milks. And it has to do with the amount of animal milks that are into this sort of. So ours here is a due latte, meaning 2 milks. Actually comes from Piedmont. I would love it to come from Texas, but they just don't make it like that. So if I go like this on a little triangle, now I have a beautiful triangole. Here we go. Roll, roll. Scarpinoch. So notice the roll over there, right? And then when I'm here, I can decide if I want to pinch it like so, nice and tight. Very similar to the Scarpinoch. That would be a different type of caramelle. So I'm going to go full pinch here. Quite nice. Okay, so we have pasta. Let's make our sauce. Let's start to cook this because I'm getting hungry. Okay, making our sauce now. So we're gonna use a couple things and kind of set up our mise en place for the rest of the things to make sure everything's kind of in place. So pot, butter, mint marigold, a little ajo rojo garlic from Fruitful Hill, the loquats that we talked about before, some of the mushrooms that we're gonna really prep for later, and then white onion. So sharp knife, obviously the most important part of the kitchen. The sugar in onions are one of my favorite things. So I'm not gonna make necessarily nice cuts here. I'm just gonna end up cooking this down. So super simple in here, okay. Next, garlic. This is gonna get cooked enough. The skins actually I'm okay with putting in there. Mint marigold, again with stems, because what I'm gonna end up doing is straining most of this out, curing only certain parts. Pound of butter, and then I'm going to start to open my loquats, make sure that I don't have the seeds there. So each one should have 3 of these seeds in it. So, and the last thing that we're going to do, which are these beautiful mushrooms. So I'm going to kind of move the pot over here. I'm going to start to trim some of these mushrooms. So you can see how they grow, right? This is only in hydroponic mushrooms. You're obviously not finding wild mushrooms that, you know, are able to go this way, but these are so gorgeous. I'm just gonna take enough for what I need. With these guys, what I love to do with them is dry grill them and then pickle them, and then you use like that liquid that is remaining from the pickling to make vinaigrettes or sauces or marinades, or just like to dress with like a little bit of cheese or something. It's like so incredible. But then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take the stem of what we did, and I'm gonna take the stems into our sauce here. And again, I'm gonna take my stems, spongier, more protein to them. A little more, honestly, mild than what we have in these chestnuts. All right, so I'm just gonna take that, cut that in half. And now I have my mise en place set up for later on, when I'm gonna sear these beautiful mushrooms. I have my pot ready to go. I'm just gonna kind of stir it once I put it on, and that way it's gonna just caramelize, get everything going. And I'll just make sure that nothing's kind of sticking to the bottom of that. And then if I want to add some white wine or a little bit of vinegar to help that go through for me to emulsify it, I can do that later. Right now what we're doing is just cooking out some of the solids of water, right? So you can notice the bubbling here, and that literally is water that's steaming out of this, right? You can just kind of smell, I mean, it already smells so good. It gives off this kind of like almondy note from the loquats, the sweetness from the onions. The marigold gives this kind of like green, almost licoricey note to it. And then the mushrooms are gonna give us that kind of like earthy content. So I've preheated my pan here. I'm gonna take a little bit of butter, start to put my mushrooms down. Placing them face down here. You can already see that the pan is nice and hot, so it's caramelizing them, caramelizing the butter. As I put more moisture into this, that caramelization will stop. And then I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle in some of this. I'm gonna get them hot, and then I'm gonna start toasting them and tossing them. And then what I will end up doing is seasoning them and then pulling them over and dressing them with a little bit of vinegar, and we'll let them sit and wait until we're ready to use them. Okay, so we've now kind of finished cooking everything. You see that we have translucent in our onions and garlic. The loquats have just kind of been lightly cooked there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strain out the butter, because it's really hard to make an emulsified sauce if butter is in your base. It's almost always gonna break. So now I'm gonna take all this, put it in the base of my blender here. A little bit of bay laurel vinegar. Whenever you start a blender, you want to make sure that it is on low, all the way down, not on high. And whenever you put it away, make sure. So secure the top on, put a towel over it, and I'm gonna puree it until it gets smooth. So, important thing to look at here. You can, first of all, smell how great that is, right? But number two, what I've realized is the amount of vegetable matter that I put in there means that I'm gonna have to have a little bit more water content to this, because I've cooked out so much, because otherwise my butter sauce is gonna just be way too thick. So I'm gonna actually go get just a little bit of water, pour that in here, and then get it going nicer. There we go. So now that it's going nice and smooth, I'm going to spin it more and slowly stream in my butter. I'm doing this very slow so I don't break it. It's really quite nice. I think it needs a little bit more salt. Okay. And I'm going to show you here. This is the texture that you want. You want something that has viscosity to it, has emulsification, but is not too thick. really beautiful. So first and foremost, if you don't have a pasta boiler at home, do not worry. But cook pasta in a large pot because you want it to be at a rolling boil as much as possible. It will keep you from getting really gummy pasta. So I'm going to take these scarpinoci, drop them in. They're quite fresh, so they're going to finish quite quickly. And you can see already that they're starting to float here, which because I just made them means that they're there. So I'm going to place those here. I'm going to take just a little bit of oil, cover them in that. And let's go make a pretty dish. Okay, so we have our scarpinoci that we've cooked. We're going to go ahead and start to plate them on the plate. I'm going to do this first. Now it's really important whenever you have hot pasta that you recognize that the longer that you take to plate something, it's getting colder and colder. So I'm going to do this intentionally, but also somewhat quick. Beautiful. Now I'm going to take the sauce that we made earlier. I'm just going to kind of fill in areas on the plate where I think it's easier for people to eat it and enjoy. I want to fill the hole in one or two. That's always nice. So we're going to take our mushrooms here. I just love sometimes breaking a plate with a little bit of oil. Look how pretty that sits on there. And now we have raw veg, right? So normally I would warm veg or go through that, but in this case I want something that's gonna break it up a little bit and give this brightness to it. So we have crunchy purslane. Look at how long these are, right? And why I love using these with something like this is now I have this beautiful, austere, very long shaped pasta. I have long, kind of like have to cut up arugula to go with it, these beautiful mushrooms. And so what you end up with is you end up with this plate that now has all of these different elements to how it looks, how it tastes, all the different flavors. Bon appetit.
Thank you, Chef Fink of Emmer & Rye. Fresh pasta, mushrooms, and arugula, that's my jam. I will definitely be testing my skills with that dish very soon. Before we move on, I have to acknowledge the unbelievable generosity I'm seeing right in front of me. Jim Stone, $1,000. Brad Compier, $1,000. Thank you guys so much. Mom, I love you. Thank you. Carlos, Kristen, Bill, Gina, Brooke, Steve, Aaron. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. We're so excited. Thank you. So now it's time for our virtual wine tasting, sponsored by HEB. Joelle Cousins, certified sommelier and chain account manager for RNDC, will guide us through a tasting of 3 great selections, including one by our friends at Schramsberg Vineyards. So get those wine tastings ready in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wine and Food Foundation of Texas's Nourish the Soul event. So happy to be here with you virtually. My name is Joelle Cousins. I am a certified sommelier currently working for Republic National Distributing Company. Most of my career has been spent in restaurants, and the hospitality industry is so near and dear to my heart. I'm thrilled that we're all able to be here to help support them during this time, and have a little fun too, and drink some wine. So I'm here to share some of my favorite fall picks with you guys. We're gonna taste through just a few wines that I highly recommend you pick up and have at your table this fall and this holiday season. And we'll start with some bubbles. I love to start with bubbles. I love to end with bubbles. We do bubbles all the time. So I encourage you to do the same. We're going to start with Schramsberg. So Schramsberg Mirabelle Brut. This is a winery you may be familiar with. Schramsberg is the second oldest winery in Napa. So it was established in 1862 by Jacob Schramm. It has been family run and operated by the Davies family since 1965. And they've done a tremendous job preserving the wonderful historical significance of this property and of the vineyards. And they are known for traditional champagne method sparkling wines. They also produce some beautiful still red wines, Pinot Noirs and Cabernet. Highly recommend that you try those wines. But we're going to focus on their main show here, the bubbles. So they actually even have in their estate in Diamond Mountain caves. So if you know anything about Champagne or have traveled there or read anything about how Champagne is produced, you know that it is made and aged in underground, naturally temperature controlled caves. And so these caves were built in the 1800s, and it really is a spectacular sight to see. And so that is where this wine comes from. Talking about the wine itself, this is a blend of North Coast counties, mainly Napa and Sonoma, with some Mendocino and Marin County as well. And it is Champagne grapes, Champagne method, Champagne grapes. So we've got about 55% Chardonnay, with the remainder being Pinot Noir. This is their multi-vintage blend. So it does contain some of those base reserve wines, which just further add to the depth and the richness on the palate that you're going to get from this wine. And then in addition to that, it's extended aging on the lees, which are those yeast cells, which really provide that brioche and caramely kind of tone that we love about Champagne. So this wine is aged 18 months on the lees in those caves. Pretty cool. So love this wine for any purpose. And, you know, you're going to see this as a theme in my tasting today. All of these wines are extremely versatile food pairing wines. So you can have this wine on its own. You can also pair this wine with a steak. Just trust me. And then lastly, I will note that the Mirabelle is the name that was given to this wine. It is named after the Latin word mirabilis, which does mean wondrous beauty. I think that's exactly what it is. So I do hope you enjoy. The next wine that I'll share with you is a Riesling. And so if I've met you before or we've talked before, you may know that Riesling is actually my favorite grape variety. I love it for its extreme versatility in styles. And so I think when most people hear the word Riesling, they think, oh, it's sweet. I don't like sweet wine. Or maybe you do. What I want to tell you is that there's an incredible range of styles, from very, very lusciously sweet to bone dry, depending on where the wine is made and how it's made. And what I'm sharing with you today is a wine from Alsace in France, and it is Pierre Spar Riesling. It is completely dry. And the cool thing about Alsace is that you know that it's going to be dry. Actually, in 2008, they did write it into law that any Alsace AOP Riesling wine was mandated to be dry, just to help with all the little confusion, you know, amongst consumers. And I think this is a great way for you to start trying some dry Riesling, or continue enjoying some dry Riesling. So the Pierre Spar Riesling comes from a winery that's ninth generation family run at this point. It was established in 1680, so there's a beautiful history there. They really know what they're doing. And this wine is super classic in its style. So it has beautiful sun-kissed fruit in terms of its profile. So you've got the peaches, the nectarines, the Meyer lemon. Remembering that Alsace is the sunniest region in France. So the vineyards and the grapes really have the benefit of getting that ripeness from the daily sun exposure that they have. And then in addition to that, it finishes dry with a beautiful backbone of minerality. There's a wonderful geological diversity that we see in Alsace, lots of different types of soils there. This wine does cover all of those different soil types. So it's really a beautiful representation of the region as a whole. And then again, I'm always going to bring it back to food, because I think that's super important when we're deciding what we're going to drink. And this wine absolutely pairs with everything. So you have the wonderful acidity that helps us do that. So you can really pair anything from sushi all the way to your barbecue pork ribs. And really, I want to focus on the barbecue here. We're in Texas. We love barbecue. Riesling, dry Riesling and barbecue is one of my most favorite pairings. You get the wonderful fattiness of the meats, and then your palate is automatically refreshed by that acidity that you get from the Riesling variety. So please give it a try. I know it may sound a little different, but I strongly encourage you to try some dry Riesling with your barbecue. Lastly, I'm going to share with you a red. The temperatures are starting to drop. We're getting some cool breezes, and love having a beautiful glass of red wine. And so this is the Col di Venti Barbera d'Asti. This is from the central part of Piedmont region in northwest Italy in the Monferrato Hills. And this Barbera is produced by a winery that is completely biodynamic and organic in their viticultural practices, which we think is super important. And this is a very, very traditional style of Barbera. So you are seeing even New World styles of Barbera outside of the regions of Italy. And then also even within Piedmont, you're seeing producers produce riper styles, styles with more new oak usage. This really brings it back. And the reason why I picked it is that it is that very traditional, more rustic style. There is no oak on this wine. It's all about the variety itself, which expresses absolutely beautifully. You've got a really red fruit driven nose with kind of dried strawberries, wildflower notes. And then once you get it on the palate, you get that really nice balance of kind of dried herbaceousness, some leafiness, some earthiness, and a little bit of spice. So it's extremely well-rounded wine that I can suggest for many different things and many different occasions, including just by itself. So I love a red wine that I can enjoy when I don't have to have food. So it's very medium bodied, and then it finishes with beautiful acidity. So there's no overwhelming tannin or anything that would require you to really have some more food with it. So it's very, very medium across the board. But again, this wine is going to pair beautifully with your fall dishes across the board, from Thanksgiving all the way to, you know, even a cedar plank roasted salmon. So really wonderful fish wine as well for your red wine drinkers. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you're all doing well. I miss you very much. And thank you again for joining us for this wonderful cause. Please enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Joelle. That was awesome. I hope that after all that wine, you all are still tuning in, and I can tell that you all have definitely been able to find that donate button because we're seeing more generosity. Thank you so much. Matthew, Laura, Jason, Colleen, thank you so much. It's unbelievably generous. You guys have been great. I saw in the chat we're over $25,000 already, which is amazing, and we're so excited to see what's coming next. So now it's time for a very special segment. As I mentioned, the proceeds of tonight's event will be donated to Southern Smoke, a national crisis relief nonprofit organization that supports the hospitality professionals in need. Tonight, we have the honor of hearing from its founder, Chris Shepard, in this conversation between him and Kristen Moxie Castro, a longtime friend of Chris and a member of the foundation's board of directors.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. What's happening?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Been a long time.
Been a long time. It's such a pleasure to see you, first of all, and honoring so much about what you've been up to. From founding Southern Smoke and its evolution, I want to talk a little bit about what it's doing today. What does it do? I want to share with, there's about 200 people on this event tonight, and I want to share with them a little bit more about why we selected Southern Smoke, why it's so important, how badly the industry needs our support right now. The number of people that are out of work, over 11 million people in the restaurant industry in the United States. and talk a little bit about what Southern Smoke does. Who does it benefit? Why? How does it work? And kind of explain just the context for everybody who's on the call tonight.
Yeah, easy. So Southern Smoke, we started in 2015 to raise awareness for MS for a friend of mine that was diagnosed, who was my old sommelier, Antonio Gianola. And then in 2017, when Hurricane Harvey came through Houston, we decided to make a change and knew that we needed to take care of folks in the food and beverage industry in our city. We needed to take care of our own. So we formed we actually formed the Hospitality Relief Fund that year, and set up a place where people could apply, go through a verifying committee, and then it went through an awards committee. We took in a little under 200 applications that year, and we could grant 139 families a little over $500,000. Since March of this year, because we were set up the way that we are, Southern Smoke really just jumped into action. We've taken over 28,000 applications in at this point, and granted out $3.5 million so far. But if you do just a rough math, we still are about $47 million shy of what we need to make sure that everybody that's granted out is taken care of. But we got a long way to go.
How many families is that, Chris? Like, we are trying to give people an idea of what this means, how far their dollar goes, where this is going, why it's so important. With the 28,000 applications that you've taken, how many families are you able to support, prevent from getting evicted, put food on the table?
Yeah, right now it's a little under 2,000 and growing, which is good. I mean, of course, not everybody, not every application is granted. We don't really have a strict application process, but you have to have worked in the restaurant business for 6 months. You have to still have a job. I mean, or still be working, and in the past 6 months. But it's really not that hard. It's just we have to start diligently going through and making sure that things like life and death, rent are covered first, medical bills are covered first, and then we can start to work our way backwards. But I know that it took a long time just to go through all of those applications at the beginning. When we first started, we had basically 1.5, maybe 2 employees, and now we're over 40 at this point.
I feel like when I think about the restaurant industry, I think about the public house. I think of a place where people come to celebrate and to have their bad day and to take a rest and to have a drink. I really think about breaking bread. Restaurants are bars. They're part of our fabric. They're part of our lives. They're with us the whole way. And everybody is affected by this, not just the people who are in it. From the bartender to restaurant groups that are closing. Tom Colicchio, famous restaurateur and chef, has said maybe 20 to 50% of restaurants won't make it. Yeah. And this is a real and ongoing issue. There's a lot of stats out there right now. 11 million restaurant workers, 500,000 independent restaurants that need our help. What is the need that you see? I know that you guys are working on mental health. Tell me a little bit about where you feel like this is helping the most. Eviction moratoriums. What do you see from the top?
We're helping with pay rent. We're helping with pay medical bills. We've worked with the Mental Health America and the University of Houston to already provide free mental health care for anybody in the hospitality industry and their kids in the state of Texas. So that is kind of covered. There's definitely a waiting list at this point, but we're doing what we need to do. But, right now it's just keeping people in their houses, keeping them out of bad situations, really just making sure that they have that safety net that they've never had before. Because traditionally in our industry, insurance isn't a thing, right? If you work for, a bigger company or what have you, then maybe there's an insurance that you could get on if you choose to do that. And so traditionally we go without that. And that's really where this started out was, I, as a young cook, I didn't have insurance. So I know what that feels like. And to be put into a position where you have to choose between medical or rent, or food, that doesn't make sense to me. So we wanted to make sure that we were there for those folks to be able to apply to get those things covered for them.
It's hard to understand if you've never worked in the restaurant industry, if it's been a while, the thin margins that we run on and what it means to make a restaurant work, the labor in the back of the house, what it means and the time and dedication it takes for people, for chefs, for it all to come together. It's a theater, right? To make all these things work. And then to go home without insurance and to not make enough money to, to be paycheck to paycheck. And this is such a needed thing.
And the restaurant industry is it's a passion project for the most part. Or it's, I think a lot of these folks that are here tonight could definitely say, hey, I waited tables when I was in college, or, I cooked while I was in college. See, most people actually know what the restaurant industry is like. So, but just being able to have that security behind you is really important.
There's so many things that are happening out there. People are looking for ways to contribute, to give back, to pay forward.
Yeah.
With the people that are on this call tonight, what do you think is possible in addition to the Wine and Food Foundation support of this, in addition to going out and patronizing restaurants and doing curbside as often as possible? What are the things that you want people to know as a chef and a Southern Smoke founder? And what can you tell us about your links with Save Restaurants and SaveRestaurants.com, and what we can do to petition our senators, Congress people to help in a bigger way?
Yeah. First off, I would like to thank the Wine and Food Foundation for having us and for supporting Southern Smoke. But the easiest way to get out is to go to SaveRestaurants.com and just fill out the paperwork there. It's really quick and simple. It takes 30 seconds. It emails both senators and your local congressperson and gets you kind of involved and let them hear that you truly do need and believe in local restaurants and independent restaurants, because the places that you go to on your Sunday or Monday night when you're not with other people, but they know who you are. You may not tell your friends that's where you're going. It could just be this small little joint that's around the corner from your house. But they know you, they love you, they believe in you for coming in. But those people might not be here when we're done with. But that's what Save Restaurants is for. That's the Independent Restaurant Act that is going to help all of those small little independent restaurants.
And what do you feel, in 2021, you said there's probably $48 million left that you feel like you need to raise in order to make good on the word of the commitments you've made for the number of applications you've seen, 28,000 just for Southern Smoke. What do you see in 2021? And what else can we continue to do to help?
I think we're just going to continue to chug along. We're going to take care of people as much as we possibly can and not stop. This isn't a organization that's going to slow down or quit doing what we're doing. There's always going to be a need for this. There's always going to be a outlet for people. We need to have that. My goal is that this goes more nationwide and other places can start to do this as well, and that we can grow this. So there is a safety net for the hospitality industry, because there is, when you start talking 11 million people, that is huge.
500,000.
That's just, our industry is the second largest industry behind governmental affairs. We need that kind of assistance. So whether it be through Southern Smoke or, emailing your senators or your local representatives, that's how it's going to help.
One of the things that I'm so excited that we're having this conversation today, and that the Wine and Food Foundation, just a very, very, very tiny piece of that, helping my fellow board members and community know, is the thing that you start with in the restaurant industry is you go to shift meal. And it's a place where you eat, and the chef talks, and the bartender and the sommelier, whatever, get together and you talk about what's going to happen and what the run of show is going to be. And it's a place where you eat together and you break bread. There's something so communal about coming together. And to me, that's what this feels like, is really the chef, you, starting an organization that would take care of every single employee in the restaurant. It's just that this is a bigger vision of all the restaurants.
Well, we do this together. There's no other way. Right. We have to do this as an industry, and people from outside of our industry to see and to be a part of our industry. It's very important.
I'm so honored to be a part of it. We are so honored to be a part of it, and know it's going to grow. And we are going to share this with all the folks that we know and expand the network. I'm so excited to be able to donate these dollars, and I will be personally giving more in Paddles Up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Much love.
Enjoy your evening.
Chris and Moxie, thank you so much. That was really enlightening and heartbreaking. This crisis is obviously real, and the need is real. And I can see that a lot of you out there agree with that. We're getting more donations in. Thank you to Paul and Caleb, Demetria, and David Jabor, $2,000. David is a member of our board of directors and owner of Twin Liquors, who's been, they've been an amazing sponsor and partner to us over the years. Thank you so much, David. Julie, thank you. Thank you to all of you. This has been great. And we still need to make more so we can keep supporting this community that is in need. It's a really tough time for them. I'd like to ask you to think about your favorite host at Jeffrey's, your friendly server at Emmer and Rye that brings around that amazing dim sum cart, the bartender at Taco Flats that always remembers your name and your kid's name. And then as an homage to my hospitality peeps in the live events segment of the hospitality industry, think about the behind-the-scenes event producer that makes these events happen without a hitch, and you never even knew they existed. Now think about all these servers, bartenders, hosts, and event producers, unemployed, unable to pay their rent, unable to afford a necessary visit to the doctor. Now would be a great time to make a donation if you can, in any amount. You can see the green button on the right side of your screen. There's a suggested donation amount and a black button that says Pledge Other, where you can donate in any amount you choose. Every donation will go to help these people. So thank you sincerely for making these donations to help support our hospitality industry. We have a few minutes left before we close out the show tonight, so please keep those donations rolling in. Oh, thank you, Patty. Thank you, Mike. That's my husband. We're so happy to see this happening right now. Everyone's just like cheering in the background. It's amazing. So I would like to welcome to the stage a very good friend of the Wine and Food Foundation, Randy Hester. Randy, come join me up here. Randy is the proprietor and winemaker at CL Buteau Wines here in Texas, that I think many of you already know, and a long-standing member and supporter of the foundation. In addition, he donated a case of his delicious wines to the silent auction for this event. Thank you for that, Randy. We're so lucky to have you here tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's so exciting to just be a part of this event, so thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So that was a pretty powerful segment with Moxie and Chris. You've been in this industry for a long time. What did you think of that, and how have things been going for you and CL Buteau through all this?
Yeah, you know, we're trying to figure it out like everybody else, and to see now 7 months later exactly where we are, it is heartbreaking. And like Chris said, this is a labor of love, and then when you can't make a living doing that right now, it's incredible. So this, again, just thank you for letting me be a part of this today. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, we want to spread the word. So we also want to talk to you about membership. You've been a long-standing and supportive member of the foundation. We have a lot of new people here tonight that are not members that are checking us out for the first time. And so I'd love for you to tell them why you think it's great to be a member. What are some of the best things about being a foundation member for you?
Well, the easy answer is the people. I have so much fun with all the people I've met. We've made friends. We're going to events together. The people really make it. But now, you know, what you're doing with the Imbibe series, it's just a fantastic way for people to be, who are interested in food and wine, to get more education, become more a part of this food and wine community. The Imbibe classes are free for members, $10 for non-members. I have the pleasure of hosting here and there. I have the pleasure of going to just about everyone that I can. But now that you're offering the monthly benefits, the discounts and offers from the foundation partners, totally taking advantage of that. The La Condesa discount this month, yeah.
I'm going to that one too.
Yeah, and the members get the discounts for other foundation events throughout the year, including events like this, and the list just goes on.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm new to the foundation, but I've been in the hospitality industry for 20 years, and if I had known about this, I absolutely would have been a member. This is right up my alley, and I know that my group of friends would have loved to be members, and now I'm kind of poking all my friends saying, you should join. I don't want you to miss out. It's really fun.
And your mom?
And my mom is, yes, I've got friends here tonight, and I just really want them to know what it's all about. Our membership starts at $15 a month, which is a pretty reasonable price for all the benefits. And your investment is supporting a great cause, so we hope you will consider membership. And we are offering a promotion right now. All members who sign up, new members who sign up before the end of October, will get 1 month free. So log on to the website to get the promo codes and sign up before the end of October. Speaking of October, Randy, it's Texas Wine Month. So I'd love if you could spread a little knowledge about Texas wines. There are a lot of opinions out there, some misconceptions, and it seems to be a really exciting time right now for Texas wines. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about Texas wines and tell us a little bit more about CL Buteau, which, by the way, we are drinking here this evening. This is one of my favorite bottles. You all should invest in this bottle. It's amazing. But tell us a little bit more, Randy.
Yeah, well, CL Buteau is my great-grandfather's name. Everybody knew him as Frenchie. The kids called him Papa Frenchie, and so we've named our wine after him, CL Buteau, and then our second label, which is Papa Frenchie. So this is how the name came to be. But the Texas wine industry is it's such an exciting place to be right now, with the quality of the wines matching wines of the world, and more people around the world, not just in Texas, recognizing Texas wines for the high quality that we're producing. So I love it. It's Texas Wine Month. We get to talk about this a lot, but never more than in October, so I get all pumped up. I could probably keep going, but we'll save it for another time.
Yeah, come back and do another one of our Imbibe Series tastings, and we can definitely talk, for sure. Well, we are starting to come to a close. Thank you, Randy, for joining us here this evening. We're so glad you were here. I appreciate you helping to promote the Wine and Food Foundation's membership program, and for sharing your perspective on Texas wines and filling us in about CL Buteau, and of course, for helping us raise money for the hospitality industry. So that brings us to a closing point for this evening. Thank you again to our presenting sponsor, H-E-B, and to our other sponsors, Cap Trust, The Label Collective, and Elios Production Design, and to all of our generous wine and beverage donors. Thank you to all of you who tuned in. Thank you for your donations and for supporting the Wine and Food Foundation. For those of you joining us tomorrow night, we'll see you tomorrow. Randy, will you join me in a toast?
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to all of you. Good night.